Hi, I'm Anthony Hughes, and in this video, I'd like to show you some of the new features added to Dorico 1.1 in this huge update to Steinberg's music scoring software. We're really excited to have added support for chord symbols in Dorico. It's really easy to input chord symbols. They have their own popover that works in the same way as Dorico's other popovers, interpreting what you type as any type of chord. And it's even quicker to input your chords by playing them on your MIDI keyboard. Using the engraving options, you can choose from multiple appearance presets that support the most common conventions used by musicians, and you have complete control over their layout and the font they use. They even have a dedicated track in play mode, allowing you to configure them to play back. Dorico now has the most comprehensive support for piano pedal lines of any scoring software. Add sustain, una corda, and sostenuto pedal lines to your music with complete control over their appearance. Dorico makes it easy to add retakes to pedal lines and even supports changes of pedal level. And of course, you can choose your preferred default appearances and positioning using the powerful engraving options. It is now possible to add repeat endings to your music in Dorico. At the touch of a single button, you can insert first and second time endings, complete with an end repeat bar line that are placed in the score as a single item so that you can be sure they're always placed correctly and consistently. It's just as easy to add additional endings, and you can easily control the structure of the repeat endings using the Properties panel. Other notation improvements brought to Dorico 1.1 include expanded support for Baroque and classical ornaments, and we've added the ability to create arbitrary system text using the key command Shift-Alt-X. Inputting and editing items in write mode is now much easier. It is now possible to create items with a rhythmic duration just by dragging with the mouse. You can also use the mouse to quickly move items to new positions or to lengthen or shorten them. And there are handy key commands for these operations too. Alt plus the arrow keys moves items, and Shift plus Alt and the left-right arrow keys makes items longer or shorter. We've added a new preference that allows you to create multiple items without having to reselect them in the panel first, and another that always loads the mouse when you select an item in a panel, rather than immediately inputting it if you have a selection in the score. While we're talking about creating items in write mode, I'll tell you about the improvements made to MIDI input. Enharmonic spellings chosen by Dorico now use a sophisticated algorithm that takes into consideration the current key signature, the intervals between the next and previous notes or chords, and the intervals between the notes of chords. We've also added support for MIDI Learn, meaning you can use your MIDI keyboard to trigger commands within Dorico, such as changing rhythmic durations during note input or navigating around the program. It is now possible to narrow down a selection of notes and other items in your project using one of the many filters that are available in the Edit menu. You can choose to filter the selection by deselecting specified item types or by leaving only the specified item types selected. Working with voices in Dorico is now even easier, with simple commands to change the voice of selected notes or swap the voices of notes in two parts. And we've made it possible to paste into a new or existing voice. Powerful new capabilities have been added to dynamics. It is now possible to create groups of dynamics that stay vertically aligned with each other, moving together if a note or other object requires them to be moved from their default position to avoid a collision. Dynamics created together are grouped automatically. You can tell that a dynamic is part of a group when you select it and see other dynamics are colored blue and showing attachment lines. Pasting a copy of a dynamic from one staff to another at the same rhythmic position links the dynamics together such that editing one updates the other instances of that dynamic. Now let's take a look at the improvements we've made in other areas of Dorico. People already love using flows as a way of creating multiple movement works in Dorico, or for capturing and developing ideas. You can now duplicate a flow, perhaps to experiment with a music idea while maintaining the current state as a separate flow. And you can easily split a flow at any point in the music by making a selection and choosing Split Flow from the right menu. We've now made it possible to import and export individual flows. You can import a MIDI or music XML file into the current project as a new flow, and you can even import specific flows from other Dorico projects. Dorico can either create all new players for your imported flows, or try to match them with existing players from the current project. When you select Export Flows, you have the option to choose which flows to export, and you can also specify to export flows and specific layouts as separate files. For instance, if you needed just the instrumental parts to send to a collaborator. It's also easier to navigate flows in your project now, with commands to go to next or previous flow, and there's a go to bar dialog which you can use to quickly jump to any point in any of your flows. Turning to Engrave mode, Dorico 1.1 introduces the ability to edit note and rhythmic spacing of your music, giving you control over spacing adjustments for items at the same position across a whole system, and also graphical adjustments that move individual items on a single staff only. For maximum control, we've made it possible to adjust the position of each voice column independently when multiple voices are active at the same rhythmic position. And while that gives you control over the format of your music at the micro level, we've also added features to control the more general casting off of your score by allowing you to fix the number of bars per system and the number of systems per page via easy controls in the layout options. Dorico's page layout tools allow the creation of advanced musical publications, and we've made frame editing easier to use. Selecting multiple frames is easier, and you can navigate frame handles with the keyboard. You can now copy frames and paste them to the same position on any page. And once you're happy with a master page layout, you can copy it to the facing page with the click of a button. We've extended support for tokens, meaning you can reference any particular flow by including its number after the word flow in any flow-specific token. Finally, play mode is much easier to navigate and use with trackpad and keyboard support. Scrolling during playback and many more editing commands are now available in the piano roll. And as well as editing the notated position and duration of notes, you can also edit the played position and duration, meaning you can access more features of your sample libraries and build a more human performance. And that's not all. There are hundreds of other improvements and fixes in all areas of the application. Dorico 1.1 is the largest update by far that we've done yet, and we're sure that you will enjoy the new features and enhancements that we've made right across the program. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have by clicking the thumbs up button below. And please take some time to watch my video series where I delve into the detail of how many of these new features work. Subscribe to our channel right now to watch the full series. I'm Anthony Hughes. Thanks for watching.